here with Untamed and Unapologetic. I've got the fabulous Jessica Murrah with us today. I met Jessica, I think we met in a Helotes, was it a 0.5K?
Yes,
0.5K?
a 0.5K.
I love to participate in the 0.5K because, I mean, you don't really have to go very far.
And you spend a lot of time talking to people and meeting new people, which is incredible. So
Yes, so
very little running, a
you.
lot of talking.
Yes, so I got to meet the fabulous Miss Jessica here at the 0.5K in Helotes, and we got to talking and realized how aligned our ideas and vision and everything is. You started in education, I
Yes.
started in education, we both left education, and we're in these roles now to help people.
Mhm.
So I guess tell the audience a little bit about yourself
Okay.
and where you're at, what you're
All right.
doing.
So I am a former teacher. I taught for 25 years and worked with special needs kids and also served as a special education coordinator for 12 of those years. And I love teaching, but as things changed, especially after COVID, I realized that I guess I couldn't do everything I wanted to do to help the kids and help the families that were struggling so much.
I
You know,
felt this.
because when
Yeah, I
yeah,
felt this.
when you're in the school system, there's just a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, a lot of things tying your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I was frustrated. And my husband and I, we were driving down the highway one day, and I saw a poop scooping franchise truck, and it was like, you could franchise. I went, honey, I could do that. And he goes, Jess, maybe, you should start thinking about other options. Maybe teaching isn't fulfilling you as much as it used to. And at that time, I had an opportunity to join a life coaching certification with a gentleman named Todd Durkin. And he is just this incredibly motivating and powerful presence. And the coaches that work with him are phenomenal. And I had read his book. I had listened to him speak. And, I told my husband, I said, you know what? I want to give that a try. Because I always thought I wanted to be a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got 4 kids by marriage, and timing to go back to school just never seemed possible. So with this coaching opportunity, I thought, you know what? This might be my opportunity to
Yeah, this is
just
it.
get out there and help people, right? Help the parents, help the kids, but in a different format. And so I stepped into this certification program.
Mm-hmm.
And, funny thing, huge God wink. We didn't know how we were going to pay for it. And a week after I applied and interviewed, the school district gave spec ed teachers $2,500 bonus,
Oh my God.
just enough to cover the course.
Isn't it funny how the universe opens up doors and things just kind of happen when you need it?
And how do you ignore that? You know,
Exactly. Because you can't.
You can't. And so I stepped into a 6-month program. I got
Mhm.
certified. And again, I was like, well, do I keep teaching and try and see clients in the evenings and on weekends? Or do I just throw myself into it and see what happens?
Mm-hmm.
The end of the school year is coming and they're telling people to sign their contracts. And they say, okay, the last day to resign is July 5th. Wouldn't you know, July 5th was my 50th birthday. I was like, okay,
Perfect.
Lord, I hear you. I am going to take this leap. I am going to give myself the best birthday gift ever. And I resigned from teaching after 25 years, and I have been coaching ever since.
That's
And
a
it's been just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love though how it happened, how you had no idea how you were going to pay. All of a sudden, this money fell in your lap, and then everything kind of just fell into place. I know for me and my clients, I have a lot of people that come always worried, always worried, always worried, right? And afraid of what the future holds or the unknown, right?
Mhm.
I always tell them to look right in front of you because it's going to be right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think, worry's addictive. I mean, all the chemicals that get released in our body when we worry, just we feed off of it sometimes. And it's
Mhm.
really hard to stop that cycle and
Yeah.
just let go and trust that, there's a bigger plan and we just have to go with the flow. Take a deep breath and look at what we have in our circle of control. What
Mm-hmm.
can we change? What are we able to work with? And then use that to move us forward, on the path that we're meant to follow.
I absolutely 100% agree with that, because I think if I knew that way back when, right? And I lived that life way back when, I think life would have been so much better, so much sooner.
We just try to control so much.
Uh-huh, we do.
And it gets so overwhelming sometimes, especially when things don't go as planned. My husband made fun of me. He goes, you used to be really bad when someone moved your cheese. Yeah, I didn't like it when someone messed with my cheese. I liked everything really organized, really planned. My husband has actually taught me a lot. And of course, I know religiously that there is a higher power who's got me, who I trust, who I know has a plan for me. And between my husband and between Jesus, I have been able to let go and follow this beautiful path that I
Yeah.
never would have anticipated,
I love
you
that.
know?
So I heard that you are now a published author.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I had the opportunity to work with my mentor, Todd Durkin, on a
Mhm.
book called Coaching Greatness.
Oh, that's amazing.
And in the book, he goes through 10 things that make a great coach. And not just a sports coach. I mean, the man does work with NFL stars,
Mhm.
working with Jordan Love. He worked with Drew Brees during his
Wow.
Super Bowl time and everything. So
Mhm.
he knows about physical coaching. But this is all about coaching the human heart, coaching people's mindset and helping people become who they're meant to be. And
Mhm.
so he goes through 10 steps, that qualities that a great coach has. And then the second half of the book is 20 coaches that he knew that he asked to be a part of the book and to write a chapter. And so I was very fortunate. He asked me to write a chapter about what a great coach is. And, I was the theater Broadway person. I was always singing and dancing my heart out. So coaching was never a thing I ever experienced. Don't put me on, a softball field. I am not athletic at all.
Me
And
either. I
so,
I was not good in the
you
field.
know, I was like, okay, Jessica, so what is a good coach? And I thought, this whole experience I had,
Mhm.
with this life coaching certification, I learned a lot about myself because they were coaching me the whole time.
Yeah, they were.
They were asking me the right questions. They were empowering me to make that choice to step away. And I
Mhm.
thought, that's what I'm going to write about. So my chapter is about my journey from teaching to coaching and the courage it takes to step away from the devil
Mm.
and take that leap into that unknown space
Yeah, that
and
can be
trust,
scary.
and trust that that's where you're meant to be because it
Mhm.
is scary.
It is, but you know what I love that you said? That as you were learning the coaching, you had to get coached.
Yeah.
I think and becoming a therapist, all of our professors, right? They always tell us, make sure you go see a therapist. You make sure you
Hmm.
go to the other side, right? And you do the other side on the other side. And I didn't realize how important that was, because if we don't heal ourselves as the healer, I mean, what are we putting into the world, right?
Well, and I can sit here and I can talk to my clients about limiting beliefs,
Mhm.
worrying that they're not good enough, or their beliefs about money, that they'll never have enough, or that they don't have the self-worth. But here's the thing. I was struggling with that same thing. So how do I sit there and just tell someone, well, you're just going to have to look for the opposite and blah, 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 blah. I don't do it myself. So I see a coach once a week
Mhm.
and she works with me on the things that I need to work on so that I can be better for my
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah, I think it's very healthy for the healer to be healed themselves, right? I've always
Mhm.
seen a therapist from, I think the first time I had a therapist, I was maybe 13, 12, 13. And throughout life, I mean, I go and I come and I go and I come and I find a new therapist every once in a while. And now I get coaches. I have coaches for different areas and different
Mhm.
things in my life, mentors,
Yep.
colleagues like you. But all of everyone that's in my circle now, they've all contributed to my growth.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. I think, people really need to realize that that's what coaching and counseling is about. It's about growth. Because I think there's this misconception that if I'm seeing a coach or I'm seeing a counselor, I'm broken.
Yeah.
There's something that's wrong with me. And
Mhm.
that's not the case at all.
No,
It's
it's
all
not.
about growing. It's all about getting from where you are to where you want to be,
Mhm.
and having a partner who's going to walk that path with you
Yeah.
and
Keep
make
you
you
accountable
stronger.
and keep
Yeah.
you accountable. That's what I love about it too. Just having someone there saying, "Didn't you say that you were going to do that thing? And why haven't you done it yet?"
Yeah. My client this morning, it was so, I mean, she was like, yeah, I didn't follow through with my morning routine and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so next week, what do you think will help you stay accountable? And she
Mhm.
was like, well, I really want to start getting up at 5:30 and I want to get on my vibration plate. And I
Mhm.
said, perfect. I said, you know why? Because I'm up at 5:30 on my vibration plate. So I'm going to call you every day
I need
next
to
week.
buy a vibration plate. Right now I have a trampoline and that's what I do in the morning.
I love the vibration plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that after. I'll share the one that I've got with you because it's a great way to start your morning. It energizes you, wakes you up, and so yeah. So I'm gonna call her every single morning at 5:30, and we're gonna get on that vibration plate together. But when you don't have to do it alone, when you know somebody's gonna be calling you and you can't just stay in bed an extra half an hour, it makes a huge difference in
Yes.
your ability to change and how quickly you can do so.
And that's why I love coaches. Coaches, you have that flexibility with your clients to be able to set things up like that. And in the
Mhm.
counselor world, that's really, really hard to do because we don't want to enable. And we're in a process, I think, at the beginning where we're getting through all the nitty gritty, all the things, figuring it all out, defining all the pieces. And then once they get the pieces defined, then, okay, now it's time to coach. Now what's
Right.
next?
Right, because and that's why coaching and counseling go so well together. You're digging in deep, to the past and what happened and why people have become the people they are. And
Mhm.
then once you work through that, then you can take the person from where they are to where they want to be. And that's what coaching is all about. It's that future forward think and getting people on that path to change into who they want to be.
Exactly. And I love that. And I know, like we talked about just a few minutes ago, so many people think that in order to attend coaching sessions or to be in therapy, I have to have something wrong, right?
Mm.
And I have clients that always tell me like, "When will I be done? Will you tell me when I'm done?" I'm like, "Here's the thing though. Like, are we ever done? Like, is there ever a point? I know I haven't found one for myself, so that's why I'm going to be asking this to you.
Yeah.
But I've never found a point in my life where I'm like, I am done. Throw in the towel. This is as good as it's going to get. I'm never going to struggle again. And I've never gotten there. And so I always tell them that, what do you mean, are you done? Me and you, we're going to have a relationship. Like, because once we figure it out and we put the pieces together and we have the skills, it's the coaching piece, right? But the thing is they always say, like, life's a roller coaster, right? So, like, we got all our stuff together and everything's going great. And then,
Something happens.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, there's always a need of support and there's always growth. When
And
it,
that's the point. It's the growth. It goes back to the whole idea of you're broken. Okay, if you're broken, yeah, of course. If a vase gets broken, you can fix it. But the human soul and mindset,
we don't
it,
break.
it's not because it's broken, it's because you need to grow. And you can grow in so many areas.
Yeah.
And when you continue, when that roller coaster does bottom out you're in such a better place to deal with that point in your life. You come out of it that much quicker. You
Mhm.
figure it out that much faster.
Yeah.
So, you've got to keep going so that when that roller coaster hits that dip, you've got that momentum to
Mhm.
keep going up to the next hill. So,
Exactly.
yeah, when you look at it as growth, we're never done growing. And that's
No.
an incredible point you make because
Yeah.
I've been seeing counselors and coaches too, gosh, for at least, I don't want to give my age. Oh, I already said I was 50. So, for at least, for at least 30 years,
Yeah.
because it's all about becoming better,
Mhm.
growing into something new, and improving what's already there.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point. We're never done. We're never
No,
done.
we're never done. Never. And there's so many amazing coaches out there and so many amazing counselors, like just from the opposite side, from the professional viewpoint, right? There's so many of us, but there's also how many billions of people on this planet that need one of us?
Yeah. Well, and everyone has a different specialty area, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I do parent coaching.
Hmm.
And so, the people that I help are very different from a coach that's a friend of mine who does health and wellness coaching. And then
Exactly.
I've got another friend who does business coaching
Hmm.
because everybody has some area
Hmm.
that they can benefit from learning more in.
Yeah.
And so the same thing with counseling, right? Because everybody's personality fits with
Different.
somebody else. Yeah, so the perfect client for you may not be the perfect client for someone else in your office. So the idea that there's so many of us out there is a beautiful thing because everyone can find what they need.
Exactly. No one has to do it alone. Nobody
Mhm.
has to feel lost because there's so many of us out there that can help navigate with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we want to. I mean, that's our heart, right? And that's when I was teaching, after 25 years, I felt like I had lost that glimmer, that passion,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be that teacher. I didn't want to be the one who came in grumpy every day and I wanted to leave. Yeah, I wanted to leave when I was still laughing with my students and having fun, but when I found coaching, it was like a new fire was just lit inside me, like this passion. And that's the crazy, awesome, incredible, I don't know what word you want to use, part of counseling and coaching is that our heart is all about service and
Yes.
helping others, and we're here to support those people through their growth, through their struggles, because that's what gives us
Hmm.
our meaning and lights our fire,
It does. It
you
keeps it
know?
burning because that's just one of those things. Like, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't help somebody. Like,
Mhm.
that just makes my day so much better. Like, I don't know who's going to be listening to this podcast, but I'm sure we're going to help at least a dozen people or more.
Well, just knowing, I think the message, that is resonating with me as we talk
Hmm.
is that everyone can benefit from a counselor or a coach because it's not that you need help because you're broken. It's that we all have areas to grow in, and having someone who can help us be accountable can help us make that change so much easier. You
Yes.
know?
Yes, completely. And I also love, so Jessica also partners with Aravia, one of my businesses, and
Mhm.
we have our parents from Aravia getting free consultations with Jessica because when there's a child in therapy and the parents are kind of like, well, what do I do? What do I do? And they don't maybe want to come to therapy, but maybe they need something else. So we offered Jessica services to them and we've had I don't know how many families. You said five or so.
Right now, five, yeah, that have reached out that I'm in contact with and I'm working with. And it's so amazing to see the love that these parents have for their kids, and that they're willing to work on things that they struggle with, from planning to follow through to structure in the home, getting chores up and running for their kids, little things that, I think as parents, if we don't have that example growing up, it's hard, even though we know what we should be doing, it's hard to put those things in place, because we love our kids.
Exactly.
We want to have a good relationship with our kids. And if I, put this consequence in place, what's going to happen? So it's been a real joy to talk to these parents who are so willing to do what it takes to strengthen that bond with their kids while making parenting so much easier by just putting some strategies and tools in place.
Yeah, I always say that it takes a village. And I know that's used
Hmm.
in so many ways, but it really takes a village to start the growth, to
Yeah.
start your journey. And we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the key, it's funny because I talked to a parent. I was recently on SA Live, and
Uh-huh.
a parent had reached out to me, and she's like, or it was a grandparent, and she's like, my grandchild, she just does this and does this and does this and does this. And I said, yeah. And I said, and how does mom react? And she's like, well, I'm not worried about mom. I just want you to take care of the kid.
Fix them, right? Fix them.
Fix the kid. And I'm like, I said, I would love to work with you. I really would. However, as long as mom isn't changing anything, children are going to get away with whatever they can. I mean, how, you play mom against dad, you play grandma against mom, you throw a tantrum when you don't get what you want, hoping they'll give in and give you what they.
Somebody's
Kids
going
are
to. Yeah.
kids are smart, right?
Smart. Master manipulators.
Holy cow, right?
Two. At two. Mine was doing it at two. I don't know. They're born with it.
Yeah, it just comes naturally. They just find a way to get what they want. And as long as parents don't put, boundaries in place, or they let the kids continue to get away with those behaviors, you can't change the child. So having a child in therapy is great, but the parents really need to know, now what do I need to have in place to continue that growth? But I thought it was so funny that grandma wanted me to fix the kid.
Oh yeah, we hear it all the time on the therapy side. We don't see any progress.
Yeah.
Like when is the good stuff supposed to be happening? And I'm like, I would love to wave my magic wand and go
Yep.
poof, you're healed. But it just doesn't work that way. It
No.
doesn't work that way.
You have to have, like you said, a
Everyone.
village. Everyone's got to work together.
Yes, everyone, both parents, whether both parents are in the same house or not, all the parents, all the grandparents, the schools sometimes, the
For
teacher,
sure.
everybody needs to be included.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're dealing with kids with special needs, you've
Hmm.
got to have that school on board so that whatever you're doing at home continues, or what they're doing at school continues. I mean, it is a process, and everyone has to be on the same page working for that child. You can't just magically, say, all right, you're fixed. Out you go.
Lovely if it was that easy, right?
Every parent would be so happy. Heck, I've got four of them. I would be thrilled if that's all it took.
I'm a 5-year-old now and oh my gosh.
Oh my good, it's a lot. But having a community to be there is so important and helpful.
Yeah. Jessica, what would you tell the parents out there? Because I think all of us parents, we struggle in one way or another, whether
Mhm,
it's following through. I know my biggest is following through. Like if it's not scheduled for me, I'm gonna struggle. The following through, like all of us have something.
mhm.
What would the top, I don't know how many tips you can give us, 3 things that we can do as the parent to help our child or even help our family unit grow and move forward? Because I think we all have to grow together and move forward. Otherwise, we get left behind and chaos continues.
Well, I think you mentioned a couple of really good things.
Mhm.
Structure is huge.
Mm.
Having a routine in place for your child, for your family, goes a long way to helping your child feel safe and secure. And also, it makes things run smoother. Now, I know it's not always possible and things get thrown off and different things come up, but the
Mhm.
more structure that you can have planned, even just in your after school routine or before school routine, it's really going to help you as a parent because you know what you expect of your child. It's going to help your child so they know what to expect. And there's going to be a lot less chaos and arguing during those times of the day. And, I would venture to say, even sit down and talk to your child about it. Hey, when you come home from school, what do you need? Oh,
Mhm.
mom, I need a snack. And then I can do my homework. Okay, so let's plan a snack and then homework. And you know what? After you're done with your homework, maybe we can put in some time on your phone or your computer, to celebrate you finishing your homework, right? So work with your child, get a schedule in place before school and after school that you can use to kind of set things up and make things run a little bit smoother. So that would be my first,
Yeah,
word of advice.
absolutely.
Second would be stop making rules and start setting boundaries because boundaries put you in control as a parent. So you set them up as if then statements, right? If your homework doesn't get done, you won't be able to get on your phone tonight,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because you as a parent have control. You can
Mhm.
take the phone, you can put it away. Our family literally had a lockbox that my husband created and we had a literal lock on it. He kept the
Uh-huh.
key and so they couldn't go sneak it at night and things like that. But when you make an if then statement and set a boundary, you have control as a parent. If your clothes aren't in the hamper, then I'm not going to wash. And so everything that you set up as a boundary puts the power in your hands as a
Love
parent. And there's no, well, I'm not going to do my homework. Well, that's fine. I'll
but
take your
this
phone.
thing will happen. Yeah, I
Right.
do. Yeah, at home we do a three strike rule. So he gets three chances.
Mhm.
And at that last chance, then you're not gonna get to do this thing. And his thing is sleeping with his mother because he can't live without me. And
We
so
all need you, Jeanette.
so he never gets to the third strike. Every once in a while, he'll lose it and he'll have to sleep by himself. And he's like, can I earn it back? Can I earn it back?
Well, and that's brilliant too, though, because, sometimes, doing it the first time is hard. So
Yeah.
having a warning of some sort so the child knows, hey, the next time this will happen is a great way to set it up. But what you're telling me and what I'm hearing is that follow through. So
Yeah.
once you set that boundary and you say you're going to take the phone,
You
that's
got
when
to do
things
it.
start getting hard because that's when the do this and you can't take my phone and the tears start flowing and our parents'
The
hearts
answer
is
has
just
to
like
be no.
it's so that's when it's hard, right? And you have to follow through because otherwise kids learn that that was just a suggestion. She didn't mean it. I can put my clothes wherever and she's just going to pick it up and do my laundry. And
There's
guess
the
what?
manipulation.
And they're going to continue to throw their clothes wherever if you continue to do the laundry. I tell you what, if they don't put it in the hamper and then all of a sudden they don't have clean underwear for school the next week and they have to do their own laundry in order to get it, they're going to learn to put it in the hamper. Yeah. So, that follow through is like huge.
It really is. And I
And
think
I know
that's
you.
the biggest part as a parent that we struggle with.
Well, and I know you asked for 3, but just a hint, because sometimes as parents, it gets to the point where we're like, "You're grounded for life." We
We
get
don't.
so flustered, and we make these rules that we can't follow through with.
Yes.
So just a little hint that when you're getting frustrated, you can try something called delayed consequences. And so our daughter made a really bad choice at homecoming that we found out about. And we were just livid and didn't know what to do. And so we told her, you know what? We are so upset right now. We can't even think of a fair consequence. So go to your room and think about what you think a fair consequence would be. Try not to worry, and we'll let you know when we're ready to talk more about it. But don't worry too much. Just,
Yeah.
we'll be ready in a little bit. Well, first of all, she goes to her room. She's as worried as she could possibly be because she has no idea what we're gonna do.
My life is over.
Yeah, but it gives us time to calm down, as parents, and think of a consequence that we can follow through with. So if you get to that point as a parent where you're just so frustrated, let your kid go to their room, let them calm down, and you calm down, and then you'll come up with a consequence that you can live with and that you can follow through with. So
I
get
love it.
those routines in place, put the power back in your hands by creating boundaries, and then follow through so they know that you mean what you say.
That is amazing. The greatest advice I think that all of us as parents need to hear. Just to throw a little piece in, me and my son have this running joke that he's going to be grounded for life all the time.
So if you ask my kids, so what is your mom's favorite, word, sentence, whatever, they will tell you, is that going to make me change my mind? Because every time they throw a fit or want something at Walmart and I would say no, is that going to make me change my mind?
I love that. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been so great to have you on today. Now, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So my website is www.savvyskillscoaching.com. And there's a button they can press there to fill out a little Google form to request a call. Or they can do it the old fashioned way, text me or just call me directly at 210 602 2584.
Awesome. And I highly recommend Jessica. She was giving me my own parenting advice right before we started recording, and she is amazing. So, thank you so much for coming on today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.